Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom. Let's discuss about human B double helix DNA and prove it that is a Divyank design of the genes which make us what we are today from our ancestors. Now, we have been talking about divine mathematics, and the first thing which I have spoken about in this is human cell. And let's apply the spiritual science of Divyank with respect to DNA. Now, one thing which I am making it very clear, Ganit Vidya, a divine mathematics, is specialty of Sanatana Dharma, an ancient Indian spiritual science. In the light of modern science, I am trying to bridge and show how Divyank is the most important concept to be understood in anatomy, physiology, biochemistry of the entire universe, including human beings. Now, the human cells and body, as I have made it very clear, is a bunch of atoms, elements, molecules and compounds. And as a result, entire chemistry can be understood or experienced within the human body itself. There are 100 trillion cells, they form tissues, organ systems, then 10 organ systems. Everything according to Divyank is within cell itself, to the human body, to the universe as such. That's the consistent knowledge which I want for the entire world, where there is no discrepancy at all. Now coming to the human cell, I am repeating again. Under the compound microscope, you see only three things: the cell membrane, cytoplasm and nucleus. That is the trinity. Then when under the electron microscope, you see images enlarged, and you can see cell membrane is made of 7 parts, cytoplasm is made of 7 parts, nucleus is made of 7 parts, and totally there are 21 parts. And out of this 21 parts, one centrosome becomes into 2 centrioles at the time of creation. So at the first stage of creation is equal to 22 by 21 in human cell itself. Now coming to the nucleus is the most important, which carries the genes from parents to us and will go to our children thereafter. And in this structure again 7 parts, and you can see centriole, and you can see endoplasmic, you can see all the things which are there, which make us how the next generation is going to unfold. And since creation is part of it, and we should see whether this is the perfection from the highest to the lowest, similarly everywhere. Now the human cell, there are 200 types. There are reproducing living cells, non-reproducing, and neuron cells, as well as red blood cells, excitable and non-excitable cells. We are going to talk about it as we move on. Now comes the human genes, the carrier of genetic structure from parents to our ancestor to us. And there is genuine divine design of exploration, which we are going to explore how there is a consistent in the entire universe. Unless until we have the perfect knowledge, we cannot have a consistency among the people. I want all the students throughout the world, from school, college, university, research to the publication, everything, have the uniform knowledge. That is exactly the objective of Akhand Vidyashram. All the confusion which is created in maths, physics, chemistry and medical sciences, I am trying to eliminate. I am interested only in the core subjects. Other subjects I am not really interested. I am a spiritual person, scientist, and bringing the similarity which is good for everyone. Because unless until we are healthy, wealthy, wise and happy, we cannot be a perfect human, taking care of everything, for which human beings are the greatest creation. Now, these particular two symbols are the one which scientists have created. You see this clear picture very clear. One is under electron microscope, observe things. Second thing is again a structure part. Now the same thing is there in Divyank again. If you have seen the first picture, round, you can see the outer one is 22 by 21. Then you have 10 pentagons in this, and you have the similar structure of 10 stages in gene structure or DNA structure as such. And then you have inside 5 particles. You are going to see that as we move on. This is the most beautiful mathematically, Divyank, structurally like this is almost where the science and spirituality are together, and that is the bridging I am talking about. Now come to the human nucleus cell, which is the genetic structure for consisting from parents to us. The human chromosome structure you can see. B double helix gene structure is such. You can see the cell membrane, you can see the nucleus, you can see the chromosome inside the cell. As I told you, that is a part of the nucleus. Cell membrane, cytoplasm and nucleus. Nucleus 7 part, and one of the important is chromosome. And in the chromosome structure is further unfolded. You get DNA, and from DNA further you got RNA when you come to the chemistry part, or formation of proteins as such. So you see the genetic structure is exactly spreading one by one, and that is where I need to explain Divyank and say consistency is what makes the universe great. I am not interested in imperfect object, I am interested only in perfection. Only when we know the perfection we can bring perfection within ourselves, so that we can be healthy, wealthy, wise and happy the way we want. In this particular chromosome you can see center part, you can also see telomere. This is the outer part, and from outer part is the DNA thing which is coming out. Now the structure you can see of the DNA chromosome, you can see telomere, you can see centrosome, you can see chromatids, and then short arm, long arm. This is where the science has made it very clear. There is a short arm and long arm, there is centrosome, there is telomere, there is chromatids, and how through the telomeres they come out one by one. As we grow older, the size comes down and telomere starts reducing. And I can tell you, if you have been a perfect human being, leading your life perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy, you will maintain chromosome structure even when you are older and older and older. And Akhand Yoga can help you to maintain chromosome structure. You can be as vibrant as 21 even at 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s and 100s too. And that is the reason why I am talking about the way we utilize things is more important. Now to come to the question, the how many autosomes are there? Now you can see in this picture very clearly, there are only 22 pairs of autosomes. And I'm not going to go into the mother and father's contribution, but let's say 22 is important. But now there is also the question of pairing. Now there is a question, one is the active chromosome, another is recessive. And this is where I am going to make it very clear. If you understand Akhand Yoga, lead a perfectly healthy, wealthy life where you do not suffer from any of the constitutional problems. You do not suffer from metabolic disease and other things. You can maintain and choose the one which is perfect. And that is what I have been saying from the day one, that genes can help you to activate only the things which are required. For that you need an atmosphere which is conducive. This is where Akhand Yoga comes to play an important role, to say if you are perfect human being, perfect vegetarian, no alcohol, no drugs at all, there is no iatrogenic problem on the chromosomes. You can pick and choose the one which can maintain your health very clearly. As a matter of fact, at my 70 plus years, I find I am 1,000 times better than what I had been earlier. And it is only transformation because of my lifestyle changes. And perfectly. And I make one thing very clear, I am not a Democrat to prove that majority opinion is good. I single-handedly can challenge the entire educational system. I am not a diplomat. I am not trying to please anybody when they are not perfect. It's a hardcore truth which is bitter, no problem. But I am not a dictator either. I am not telling anybody to follow me. I am not a guru. I am not saying. I am saying I am only sharing my knowledge with the world. It is up to intelligent people to understand, apply and then move on for perfection. And that way I call it myself autocrat. That means I have self-realized and I am sharing that, and anyone can do it. So now this story is very clear. There are 22 pairs, and that again, Divyank, one is prominent, one doesn't. You can make the choice of the genes which are required to be a perfect, and that's my point is. And second is one pair is a sex chromosomes. You can see right at the bottom side. You have XY, XCY. Now these two things make male and female as such. You're going to see that as I show you the next one, the male and female. Now you can see in the male, you can see a chromosome which is X and Y right at the bottom, 22 agree. But bottom you have X and Y are the two chromosomes, not YY alone, X and Y. X is a larger, Y is a half the size. That means the sex chromosome in a male is much shorter than the female one, which is common for both. And once that is maintained, as a result, the sperm which is meant for male would move faster because the weight is lesser, because the chromosomes are less. And I think that is also something which to be given. No wonder pregnancy within few hours of intercourse, ejaculation, can be a male child, and if it does not happen, the ovulation does not take place at that time, and it is after 1 day, 2 days or 3 days, the chances of female is much more because the female hormones remain as sperms carrying that remain much longer there, but they are slow, but that is what it is. This is again something which is there. Now come the B double helix. Let's understand the concept very clearly. The divine design of nature. So the perfection which you have seen from the universe, spiral galaxy, to the solar system, to everything else, now come to the DNA structure, which is the smallest one for inheritance itself. It's the smallest to the largest to the lowest is exactly the same structure. Same ratio of 38.1966% and 6180 is the Divyank, and that is what you're going to see now again. Now, human B double helix was discovered and presented in 1953 in the names of James Watson and Francis Crick. These are the two people who got Nobel Prize for proving this particular structure, and the structure model is shown and two of them are seen. And they are the one who got Nobel Prize in 1953, which is almost 70 years back. And that changed the translation or transcription of genetic structure and its manifestation over a period. Thanks to their work, it was phenomenal. Let's discuss this work and then move on to see how we can improve that work with Divyank itself and make it for a perfection as such. Now, this is a known B double helix. You can see either side the structure which they have done. Now I am going to talk to you about the width is shown as a 20 angstrom. Very clear, 21 angstrom. It is not 21, 20. Height is 34. You can see it very clearly. Each strand is 3.4. That means there are number of strands are 10 only. Again 10 stages. 21 to 22 instead of 20 and 34, which is more or less in the golden ratio, not Divyank ratio. 10 strands is 10 strand, not 10.34. You have short groove and small groove. Short is 12 and major groove is 22. I am very clear with that. It's fantastic. Two enclosing chains are deoxyribose sugar and phosphoric acid. You can see on either side is perfectly fine. Opposing 3 and 5 carbon is also, according to Divyank, absolutely no doubt about it. The nitrogen chain of adenine and thymine and guanine and thymine are absolutely clear, and the binding chains of 2 and 3 hydrogen bonds is absolutely clear. You can see in this picture, and I'm glad that they have done a wonderful job. They have made my job easier to move on. Now come to the question of structure, which I have given on both the sides, and this is there. What I am going to show you is the comprehensive things as we move on to the next stage. Now this is the structure of this. Now there is something which I want the entire educational system or research institution throughout the world, and I do not mean American, Europe, or Indian, or Chinese, or Russian, otherwise. I want a consistency uniformly throughout the world. And I do agree from the research, a review of literature available. It was an integrated joint exploration of James Watson, Francis Crick, and also Rosalind Franklin and Maurice Wilkins. The four of them worked together to find DNA. But I am very sorry to say, two of them got awarded, two of them did not get award. And that is also something which I am not very clear about, because it's multitasking, multi-unit. So they should share with all the people who work together for the concept, is my point of view. Who deserves the credit is difficult to go, but the product is there, good, but it could have been better. Now second thing is the secret of life is given by three people whose names, but in the fourth one is missing in the upper picture, or given in the lower picture you can see the same design in his name. And these are the misconceptions in our research. We should not be selfish, we should work for the benefit of the entire world with uniformity. And that is one of the reasons why Akhand Vidyashram and Shibhushan Sharma is very clear. We need impeccable wisdom, not confusing as things are. These people, for the name of name, fame, seeks, and that, they play with the system. They don't go to the extent that is perfection arises. We do research, so we find something better than the earlier, we produce it, and everybody starts following that. That is not. We should have a experience and then do research, which I have done within my own life. Experience of Kundalini Yoga, movement, other thing, and the results which I produce are phenomenal. And that is the research is required, where researcher himself is the subject of study, not on somebody which he cannot experience. And I'm making it very clear, when you experience within you, you control it, you have a much better orders of reproducing something which is divine design, not something which is just for the publication's sake and confusing the world. And I'm very, very clear on that part. Now to come to question of this is the design by Shibhushan Sharma about Div Helix, keeping Divyank in mind. Now you can see this structure very clearly. It's the same structure as such. Now I'm going to explain bit by bit, comparing both, and say how this is perfect, and this, and go further to also to say which has never been explored otherwise. Now I'm comparing devil hands. Now as I told you, the width is 20. No, it should be 21. Each strand should be 22 is something very clear. And number of strands should be 10.34419 is very clear. Height should be 33.9854, not 34. Minor groove of 12 is fine. Major groove of 22 is absolutely fine. Two sugar chain back opposing 3 and 5 is fine, because 3 and 5 is again T1 design. Central chain adenine and thymine is perfect. Guanine and cytosine perfect. Binary change of 2 hydrogen between adenine and thymine is right. Binary change of 3 hydrogen between guanine and cytosine is absolutely clear. So keeping the length and breadth according to Divyank ratio is something which is very clear, and I'm sure that makes a sense. We should have a perfect knowledge which we cannot find fault with it. Research should bring that kind of divine design. Now I am taking you to the next stage and showing that there is something which could have been done. As I made it completely clear in the beginning, human cells are a bunch of atoms, elements, molecules, compounds, and then cells. And then cells together form tissues, tissues form organs, organs form 10 organ systems, then organism, and the perfect human being. So starting from atom to elements to molecules to compound is the most important part of understanding cell itself. Now since we are working on B double helix, DNA structure, genetic structure of the perfect human being, so let me show you something which is amazing. Right in this picture you can see 5C and 3 cent on both the sides, which is according to Divyank. Deoxyribose, the structure I have given, Number of protons in deoxyribosine are 72. And I'm talking about protons. I'm not talking of electrons. I'm not talking of neutrons. Proton is a solid structure which gives the center the power, and that is energy. And deoxyribose has got 72. And phosphoric acid H3P1O4 has got 50 protons. Put together it is 122 on either side, and the two sides put together are 244 protons. 122 plus 122 are the chains which we are talking about, which start from 3 and 5 and go, and is exactly opposite the other way. That's one part. Now come to the question of adenine has got 70 protons, because protons are consistent, it did not change. Thymine has got 66 protons, and there is a bond of 2 only bonds. You can see the structure, there can be only 2, not 3 at all, because things facing each other are 2, 2 only. And number of protons in both of them, 70 plus 66 is 136. I want you to remember is 136, and ratio of 136 with 122 is very close to what I call Brahmank, or 22 by 21. The difference is only mild, and but very close to same structure. Now you go to the next bond, which is very clear. Cytosine has got 78 protons and guanine has got 58 protons. The put together is again a 36. Are you surprised? Nature has designed things in such a way the first line and second line have got only 136, and I am sorry to say nobody even looked at it till date. I am glad, as I was teaching this one of my students, B. Kirtanam, we worked it out details, considered the whole thing step by step for months together, and looked at every possible angle, and we found it was amazing. And that is exactly my point is, we should have students who are interested, concentration and doing work to the level which is never done. She was on nanotechnology. I think she had done, we worked on a nanotechnology because that was her specialty and my specialty, and that is what spiritual science is all about. Now, are you surprised that 136 for 136 both is consistent, and 136 and 122 is also very interesting, or for that matter both 136 or 136 is 272 and 244 is also very interesting number. Now the number of strands is 10.34419 is absolutely fine. Full length is 21, not 20. And then spiral bridge, as it moves from one to the second stage, it's 22. 21 becomes 22. That is first stage. I think that is amazing part in this particular structure, and that is what I want the world to understand. We should have a research of detail when we bring it down to atomic, to elements, to molecules, to other things. And I can tell you from my experience of divine souls, even this sodium chloride combination is organic. Potassium and sodium, electronic and iodine, protein, everything is so beautiful in proton levels that that is the chemistry we should have. Now we should go to much detail, and as on today, let me tell you one thing very, very clearly. We have a highly sophisticated equipments, advanced softwares, and things are fantastic. Even artificial intelligence is very good, but we need an artificial intelligence controlled by purity, truth, honesty, not controlled by limited minds to promote one thing other, which I see in the science. Even Nobel laureates like Einstein are also proved to be wrong after 100 years. That means they are not following the system to the extent which is free of bias. Bias is not going to help you to do the research which is good for entire world's education, enlightenment, empowerment, and health, wealth, and wisdom of the whole thing. We need to leave the bias out. We should go to the divine mathematics, which is conclusive. Entire universe is defined or designed with divine mathematics. So is science. So is every art. Once we bring the consistency, and that, and my 70 years of research I found to be Divyank, Divyank and Divyank, and that is a consistency. Now with that I'm showing to Hill how it is applied everywhere, and I think that makes a difference. Now coming to this, I'm not going to talk about it. I think what I've done is more than enough. Let this be an opening message for everyone that modern science is good, but not as perfect as Divyank, and we need to prove at every level. It is the world needs education for every child, every student, every researcher, every author, everyone, because I want perfect preventive medicine for everyone, not diseases and other things. If you want a perfection, this is there. If you don't want perfection, I have no issues. It is not a dictatorship, it is not democratic, it is not diplomatic, it's autocratic, and as I've done on my own, you also do on your own. Only then you can have the consistency to make yourself perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy, sane. And for that time, this is enough for the time. Thank you very much.